In the small prairie town of Hillview, bored teenagers use their modified hoverboards to sneak into other dimensions. It's dangerous. It's stupid. It's got parent groups in a panic. And it's the coolest thing ever. This is Slugblaster.
All right, everybody, welcome to Quantum Kickflip, a Slugblaster actual play podcast. Now, since that's a combination of words you've probably never heard before, let's break down exactly what we're doing here. Slugblaster is a brand new tabletop role-playing game where you play as bored small-town teens who use their cool hoverboards to sneak into other dimensions, and in this podcast, me and 5 of my best and most hilarious friends are going to play Slugblaster and use it to tell a story over the course of our campaign. My name is Robyn Slack, and I'll be your GM and your host, and let's start things off by going around the virtual table here and letting everyone introduce themselves and the character they'll be playing, the playbook they're using, and just kind of what they're all about. So let's start off. Oh, we should have come up with an order for this.
Just call it
Wing
out.
Wing it.
Wing it? All right. Laena, you said something. Jump in.
Nuts. Hello, I am Laena. My character is Angus Franklin. He is a little troublemaker. He uses the Guts playbook. He had a bad time in middle school, so he was pulled into homeschooling. Will he be able to get through high school without getting in too much trouble? Only time will tell. Slug blasting won't help.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Let's have Liam jump in.
Yeah, hi, I'm Liam, and I will be playing Lake Marzden. She is a tall, curly, red-haired teenager wielding a reality cannon, her trusty weapon that can change colors of the world around it and shoot crazy lights through it. A reality cannon, except for the one time that it glitched out and permanently disfigured the right half of her body to look like a weird glitched-out data mosh mishmash of colors. So...
I love that so much. What's your playbook?
Oh, I'm the Heart playbook.
Awesome. We'll get into a little bit more about what that means as the episode goes on. Why don't we jump over to Michael?
Oh boy, mine is not as polished a pitch as either of those ones.
Wing it.
Great confident start.
I am Michael Vetsch. I'm playing the character Nick Lowe. His playbook is the Smarts playbook. Nick is a half Chinese Canadian kid. He's a bit younger than the rest of the members of the group we've got going on here, but he's a smart little lad who has gotten boosted forward in school, so he's also going into high school same time as all the older kids. And Did I forget to mention, he's a bit of a weeb. I wonder where I got that idea from.
Love it. Did you say which playbook you are? I think you said you were smart, but did you say that you're the smarts?
I am the smarts. Ain't nobody smarterer.
Fantastic. Let's bounce to Glenna.
Hi, my name is Glenna. I will be playing Elliot Buchanan, who is the Chill playbook. She's an aspiring singer-songwriter. She always carries around her trusty guitar in her handy Voidware backpack, which is like a little pocket dimension that you just carry around, which is awesome. Her main thing is chilling out and rocking to tunes and, generally being pretty cool.
Fantastic. And then finally, let's hear from Dave.
Hi, my name's Dave Ray. Pronouns are he, him, and I will be playing Chester Capone, also he, him, because I have no creativity. But that's okay. Because Chester Capone, he is new to the town. He moved there from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've never been to the city. I'm just making it all up based on my brief exposures in TV and movies. He's moved in. He's kind of a poor kid, doesn't have a lot of money. He's moved in along with his dad, in with his grandma. And he's just trying to make his way in the world. Honestly, not the brightest guy. And that works well with me. And I like that. And he's just a big, tough guy. He's got like that broken nose a la like Owen Wilson, kind of like that weird... I kind of imagine him looking a lot like Charlie Sheen from that one scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like the sunken dark eyes, and he's a tough son of a gun, but, heart of gold.
That's wonderful. All right,
And
that's
then
our
he's
cast of
Grits.
characters.
He's the Grits.
He's the Grit playbook, yes. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about the mechanics of the game and things like playbooks and whatnot. We'll try and keep you in the loop because as we said, or as I said a little bit earlier, this game is, as we are recording, not currently commercially available. It's planned for launch later this year, but we got in on the ground floor of the Kickstarter of this game, partly because it was developed by a good friend of ours, Mikey Ham, who is an absolute genius, and every project he's involved in is wonderful, but especially this one, because we get to roleplay as cool teens blasting monsters and doing hoverboard tricks, and we love it so much.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, the basic idea of the game, if you're familiar with like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or any other like tabletop role-playing game, very similar, but also not at all. It's
Particularly
rolling
is kinda
dice
similar
and...
sorry.
What was that, Michael?
I was just saying, this one is kind of similar to the systems found in Blades in the Dark, another sort of tabletop role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of the base mechanics are built off of that sort of Forged in the Dark system. So if you're familiar with any of the many numerous hacks of a Blades in the Dark game, this might follow some of those similar mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the base game that it is sort of built around. Yeah, lots of, like, for those who are completely uninitiated with role-playing games, you don't need to know anything going into this. We're basically just going to be telling you an awesome story. But for those of you who do, you will try and shout out all of the cool features and playbook abilities and whatnot so that when this game is out there and available for purchase, you can... pick it up for yourself and have some fun along with us. Broad strokes, we're going to be telling a story in character, improvising and making everything up on the spot, other than a little bit of prep that I've done in the beginning, and we're going to be rolling dice to make all our decisions and solve all our problems, or potentially make a lot of our problems worse. The big mechanic you got to know is anytime we want to do something, we're going to roll a 6-sided die. If it's a 6, whatever we're trying to do works. If it's a 4 or a 5, it works, but there's a problem. And if it's a 1, 2, or 3, it doesn't work, and there's a problem. It gets real dicey real fast. I didn't mean for that to be a pun. Damn it. I've already broken my own stringent no pun rule.
Shut it down.
Anyway, I think we've introduced everybody and the basic mechanics of the game. Are we ready to hop into this, gang?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Then I'm going to transport you all now into the world of Slugblaster. The early morning sun rises over the small town of Hillview, casting everything in a comforting golden hue. In the center of town, Hillview's single traffic light shifts from red to green, which has no effect whatsoever as Main Street is, as usual, completely devoid of traffic. The mayor, keen on looking like he's making some sort of progress, has proposed a second traffic light for Hillview at several town council meetings, but stubborn longtime residents swear that should a second light be installed, they will refuse to respect its authority. An unassuming silence hangs in the crisp autumn air, broken only by the quiet, crackling hum of the softly glowing pillars that were recently installed by the Myper Corporation on the hillside north of town, finally connecting Hillview to their global wireless communications network. A hover train glides through the industrial park, carrying barrels of unknown contents into the shipping bay of Drow Laboratories, and nearby, in one of the residential subdivisions east of town, the first of our cast of characters prepares for his first day of high school. It is Tuesday, September 7th, 1999. All right, so we find ourselves in the home of Nick Lowe. Nick, it's your first day of high school. It's the morning beforehand. What does Nick Lowe do to get ready for his first day of high school?
I think Nick has had trouble sleeping all of the previous night, just because he's incredibly excited to be making this jump into high school.
Right, because he's skipped a grade at this point, and skipped a grade as of this year. He will be not rejoining all of his peers in the last year of middle school. He's jumping ahead. So this is new for everyone, but especially for Nick.
Yeah, this is a bigger, more than just the standard moving on to the next grade. This is moving on into a completely new world that he has not seen before. But I think this morning, like, despite the fact that he's been awake all night, he's just kind of been laying in bed thinking about what the year has in store for him. And he gets up and he sort of goes out into the main part of the apartment where he and his mom live. And he's just like, he's been lying in bed, dressed, ready to go for the day already.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a keener. I love him already. So I think he's been, like you say, he's been lying up all night. He's fully dressed, trying to sleep, but just can't, too excited. And he eventually makes his way down out into the main space. And no one's there at the moment, but at a certain point, your mom comes in and looks kind of shocked to see you. I thought you would have left already. Didn't you set an alarm?
Wait, why would I already be gone?
Well, it's your bus has got to be going by right now if it hasn't left already. And maybe it's because of the lack of sleep mess with your brain. Maybe it's because one of your countless tinkerings with sci-fi slug blasting tech tripped a breaker at some point and the clocks aren't quite set right. But looking over at the stove, you realize now that, like, yeah, your bus is coming at this moment as we speak, and it might already be gone. What do you do?
I'm gonna be late for my first day!
Your mom runs to the fridge and grabs out a brown sack lunch that she's prepped for you the night before and kind of tosses it over and is like, well, get going, come on.
I grab the sack lunch out of the air, she tosses to me, chuck it in my school bag, along with the other books and supplies I've got. Just before I leave my room, I turn back and I grab one last thing off my desk that had been sort of sitting on my workstation. And instead of heading down the stairs out of the apartment like I normally would, I head out onto my balcony and I engage my cool Rift Ninja sneakers and I start running down the side of the building.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Now, this is the first occurrence of everyone in the game. Aside from having a playbook, which is basically like a teen movie trope, you got your smarts, your guts, your grit, your chill, and your heart that gives them special abilities and extra things that they can do. They also have a signature device, which is like a cool sci-fi weapon and or gadget that they can use to accomplish things. And you've just mentioned yours, which are the Rift Ninja sneakers. Yes. Do you want to read the little blurb with those to give us an idea of what they're all about?
Sure thing. Rift Ninja sneakers are branded as performance wear for pro-level capture-the-flag athletes, hoping to distance themselves from the core market of graffiti artists, vandals, thieves, and kids trying to sneak out of the house. Oops, that's what I'm doing right now, ish.
Legitimately, they're the core market right there. So you pop those on, and you're going to use your astral... No, what do you have there?
I'm using the extra ability that I had available on the sneakers, the anti-nega friction soles. These allow me to run up walls, hang from ceilings, and keep my hoverboard stuck to my feet.
Awesome. So you're going to dash down the wall. I think it's time for our first roll to see how this goes for you. Do you make it down the wall incident-free, or do you take a tumble?
Here we go.
Actually, and before you tell me what the roll is, were you trying to look cool? Which is a mechanic in this game. Looking cool is very important. Or are you just in a hurry and trying to get your butt to class?
I think in this moment, he's just in a rush to get going.
Fair enough. And what was your result there?
I have rolled a 4.
All right. As we said before, 6 is an unequivocal success. 4 or 5, you still get to do what you're doing, but there is a problem. And then 1 to 3, you fail, and there's a problem. But that doesn't apply right now. You did it! Describe to us Nick running down the wall and how badass this looks.
So he kind of vaults over the edge of the railing on the balcony, quick turnaround in midair. Bye, Mom! I'll see you later after class! And then immediately, spins to face downward, and he's gonna essentially be Naruto running all the way down from I'm gonna say they live on the 3rd floor of this apartment.
Nice. It is the one apartment building in town, by the way. Hillview is not the type of town that necessitates a lot of tall buildings or short-term housing, but there is one apartment building in the middle of town, and this is where you live on the 3rd floor.
So yeah, I start tearing on down, and I guess just before my souls actually connect with the side, the brickwork of the apartment building. I click my heels together, and that's what engages the soles. And there's a bit of the sneakers themselves, as Rift Ninjas, they're mostly black, but the soles give off a little bit of a red glow hue as it engages. And that's what keeps me stuck to the wall as I race down the side of the building.
Cool. You're like a Fast and Furious car, but a person. Is that reference correct? They have the lights on the bottoms of the cars. I love that imagery. All right, so you barrel down the side and manage to, at the last second, kind of do a little, like, tumble roll and get your footing on the ground, and, like, don't even really break much momentum as you go from horizontal to perpendicular, and you're dashing down the street. You maybe take an alleyway nearby to try and like catch up with the next stop of where the school bus would go, because you're positive that it is long gone by now. And this is where your problem comes into play. Just as you are making your way to the other side of this alleyway, and you're pretty confident that you've beat the bus and you're going to make it, you see three figures ahead of you. There's a tall, lean kid with like greasy brown hockey hair and a bunch of freckles. There's a smaller one next to him, wearing a ball cap, and then a bigger, heavyset guy. And they're all just kind of doing teen hooligan stuff. Maybe they're looking for windows they can smash.
Classic morning routine.
Because these are very clearly those types of kids. And they see you running with your Rift Ninja sneakers and your arms full of this pile of, I'm assuming just like loose wires and components that you grabbed off your desk, your work in progress there that you're kind of carrying into class with you. And the tall, lean one goes, "Hey, what's your hurry, kid? Where are you off to?"
"Oh, I'm trying to get to school. It's my first day, and I really don't want to be late."
"Hey, Garrett, this kid wants to get to school." "Yeah, who wants to go to school, you nerd? We're making our way there too, but you don't see us running all over the place like an idiot."
"Oh, well, if you wanted, I could probably show you a quick way through if you want to follow me."
They kind of look at each other incredulously and are like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, we really need you to show us all the fastest routes around Hillview. Show us your ways, oh wise one."
"Oh, sure. Well, I think we might just have to get over this fence then."
And as you go to say that, the pile of components in your hands catches the main kid, the tall kid's eye. What do you got there?"
"Oh, just a little something I'm working on. It's not quite ready yet."
As you're saying this, before you can even explain what it is, the bigger kid from the back takes a step forward and lunges and swipes to grab your work in progress out of your hands. And we're going to leave this scene here to whisk ourselves away to the other side of town, where we see a different sort of morning routine playing out. We're going to catch up with Chester Capone. Now, Dave, I'm picturing, what sort of house does Chester live in?
I think there's a lot of stuff in here. You got to imagine a grandma house. You know what I mean? There's a grandfather clock, but there's also like, it looks like that kind of doily kind of thing on the couch. I don't know what that is, but it's like a giant doily for your couch. That's on there. You have a TV that's like the big old tube TV. It's like pretty well kept for the most part. In the garage, that's where his dad's motorcycle is. There's like parts everywhere, as he's like, that's the one thing that his dad cares about. And Chester's probably got just some eggs that he's like cracking open raw into a cup. And because he heard that this is good, and he's drinking his morning eggs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think contrary to Nick's place, where like his mom was milling about and maybe his uncle is off in another room, here, like, your dad has already left for work hours ago. He's like a tradesperson, and he's got places to be. He can't be waiting around to see you off to school. Mm-hmm. And I think normally your grandma would be here because she doesn't like have a huge rich social life at her age, but Tuesday is bridge, so she's also already gone.
Early morning
so
bridge.
You kind of have the house to yourself.
Early.
Yeah. Though they play all day.
It's a marathon. Yeah, you got to go.
Well, this is beginning of school. I figure 9:30. That's deep into the day. 9:30 for old people.
Yeah, it's true.
Day's half over now.
So you've got the house a bit to yourself, and like, yeah, not in a like, oh, you're a latchkey kid in a abandoned way, but just like, you're a working family and everyone's got their stuff going on, and they can't always be there to see you off and ask you about your day. So I don't think there's that sack lunch in the fridge, but there's plenty of food, and you've been taking care of yourself for a while. You know how to like slap a sandwich together and stuff, and how to guzzle down some raw eggs in a glass for your morning protein.
Yeah.
So the image I'm getting from these raw eggs is that probably the next step of Chester's morning on his first day of high school, I don't see Chester taking the bus. I think he jogs to school. Yeah. Gets his cardio in.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't have all this fancy stuff that other people do. He doesn't have like some fancy sneakers that allow him to run down a wall. No, his sneakers are branded Nokis, the off-brand ones that have like the distinct bend at the ball of the foot where it's like barely holding together. But you know what? They do them well. Backpack, the gray Champion branded sweater. Actually, it's actually it's celebrating the Stanley Cup winners of 1999, which were. Or at least according to the sweater, the Buffalo Sabres. But if you actually know about hockey, that was not true. That would have been the Dallas Stars. But he got one of the old sweaters of the losers that they give away, that they try to get rid of. He found one, and so he wears the incorrect Stanley Cup champion jersey.
Because they have to make the merch for both, so that when they win,
yeah, that's right,
the merch is available, and you've got the freebie. That's
I got
beautiful.
the one.
I love this imagery.
Yeah, normally they destroy them, but I somehow got a hold of it because I saw. I'm like, oh man, a hockey sweater right there in the dumpster. That's mine. And
they had embroidered the words champion onto it, but then they had to take all that threading out, so it just says Stanley Cup and then the faded spot where champion used to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I like the time they took the time to take the embroidery out and then still throw it away.
Throw them in the dumpster. I love that.
That's capitalism for you. I don't know what to tell you.
So I picture Chester's jogging his way along. He's got his whatever lunch he threw together for himself and maybe a backpack. But he's doing the like morning cardio. It's a crisp autumn morning. You maybe like for the first little bit of the jog, you can see your breath a little bit. It's not winter yet, but it's getting there. This is a prairie town after all. And as you're going away, you're maybe cut through an alley to shave a little bit of time off, get there a little quicker. And you hear in the distance someone yelling,
No, give it back. I worked hard on that.
And as you round a corner, you see the scene that we jumped away from earlier with three bigger, intimidating kids kind of holding up some jumble of circuits and wires that they are examining and kind of passing back and forth. And then a smaller boy who is desperately trying to reclaim his stolen possession here. What do you do?
Hey, that's it. Don't do that. What are you doing? And I start running over there as best I can. Like, I'm taking my headset off, because I imagine I have like a little Walkman. The cassette Walkman, even though this is 99. And I pull off the little headphones, and I'm running up to it, and like seeing what's going on here. And like, hey, why don't you leave him alone?
Hey, we're just minding our business here. We found this, and this kid says it's his, but we found it. It's ours.
It's absolutely mine. I've been working on it for months now.
Oh boy, this sounds like I'm being... Oh boy. They're saying two opposite things from each other, and it doesn't seem to have...
There's three of us and only one of him. Who are you gonna believe? That's just math.
Oh boy, that is... I kind of like look at the kid. I'm like, they make a good point, actually. There is... The math does work better in their favor, but... Michael... what's Nick looking like?
He's pretty crestfallen at this point. He just wanted to get to school on time.
Wait a second. This kid actually wants that thing, and he's sad. And then I immediately turn around and punch the first kid, like the guy with the thing in his hand. Punch him, and then like start grabbing the device out of his hand.
Amazing. I think let's get a roll for this.
Okay. Chester's not the greatest, boxer. He's been in a lot of fights, but he takes hits more than he delivers them. But, you can get one good hit in there. Let's see. So it's just a
I think it is just a straight D6. You do have extra dice and extra effect that you can add to any roll if you want to, built into your playbook. But those are like a limited pool that doesn't replenish until the end of each run.
Knowing from how I grew up, you got to be tough. It's kind of like prison rules in Philadelphia, where I grew up in the tough school, where it's just like, yeah, you got to make your presence known. Show who's the tough guy. Don't mess with me. So I'm going to throw a little bit of grit in there just to assert my dominance. So I'm throwing an extra dice in there.
Fair enough.
I got a 5.
All right. Yeah, and so anytime we're rolling multiple dice for the folks listening, basically how it works, we have certain abilities that offer extra dice. If you're rolling more than one, we take the highest result. Yeah. So adding more dice just gives you a higher chance of success. Mm-hmm. And in this case, we've got 5, which is a mixed success. You're decking the main bully here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think he's tall, a little bit lean. Like, he's a tough kid, clearly, has some sort of... He's probably a hockey kid. Lots of hockey kids in this town.
Sure.
So he's, got a build, but he goes down like a sack of bricks. You just, catch him in the jaw, and the timing just works out right that it spins him, and he flops.
Ha! 2 on 2 now. How do you like that math?
So, I take the thing, I hand it back to him, and, there you go, buddy.
I think where it comes in is you knock this kid down and he falls and lets go of the stolen device there, but it gets a little bit you hear a crunch when he falls, and then he kind of rolls back and you're able to recover it and give it back. And the other 2 bullies kind of they get into an aggressive stance as though oh, it's about to go down, but they look to the first kid on the ground he's clearly the ringleader and they need his approval to are we doing this, or are we, what's the plan? And the main kid kind of gets up, clutching his jaw a little bit, and he's like, you're gonna regret that, new kid. You're gonna regret that.
Oh yeah?
Come on, guys, let's go.
Well, my grandma always used to say, don't be afraid of a few mice unless they have the plague. So, take that.
What's that?
Don't be afraid of a few mice unless they have the plague. I'm not going to be afraid of these guys. Come on.
Fair enough. Wisdom from Grand Capone.
Yeah, that's
there.
Right.
The bullies take their leave, and Chester, you hand back the slightly crunched device to Nick. Mm-hmm. And Nick, upon inspecting it, you realize it's mostly surface debt, something got unplugged and maybe needs to be resoldered or whatever. But it's all pretty minor stuff. But then you realize that there's a piece missing, that something it's not broken, but it's disconnected, and you kind of search the surrounding area. This was the problem with your rule there, is you recover the device, but there's a piece missing, and the bullies likely took it with them.
I see.
There you go.
Nick, you're registering this. Meanwhile, Chester, you're watching them walk off in shame and feeling pretty good about yourself, and you haven't realized yet that this is the case, that the device has been compromised. And you hear them talking about well, do we just head to class now? And let's blow off class. We'll see everyone at the party after. We'll head to the pit after school. Yeah, I guess we'll see everyone at the pits. And they head off down the alleyway. And it's at that point that Nick realizes what's happened, but it's already too late. They're gone. Nick, what's Nick's reaction upon realizing this?
Oh, shoot. It took me so long to find that piece.
Oh.
Wonder where I can find another one there.
Well, hey.
I'm about trying to find one of these. I can go and look around back.
Hey, buddy.
Looking around.
Hey, you're drifting off on me here. Are you okay?
Oh, sorry about that, mister. Sometimes I get a little caught in my own thoughts there.
That's okay.
Thank you for your help. I don't know if I could have gotten my device back without you showing up.
No problem. You gotta stand up for yourself, and where I come from, you don't take any kind of guff like that. I'm used to it, and you can see his hand is clearly hurting, and he it's dislocated, maybe his ring finger, and he pops it back in, and he's like, that's fine. Let's go.
And off they go, presumably exchanging names at some point, off camera. I think, we go now to the school itself. Hi there, it's me again, your friendly Slugblaster Game Master, Slugmaster, Game Blaster, it's Robyn, and I'm just popping up at the halfway point of the episode to let you know that if you like what you're hearing, if you're having fun, you should definitely follow us on social media at Quantum Kickflip, so you can stay up to date about new episodes and other cool stuff that we're planning. And since this is a brand new podcast, leaving us a review or sharing the episode with friends helps us out so much, more than you can possibly imagine, so please do that as well if you have the time. We really, really appreciate it. The six of us are also all members of a sketch comedy group known as the Debutantes, and you can find all our videos on YouTube at Debutantes Sketch or at thedebutantes.ca. And finally, if you want to know more about the game we're playing, Slugblaster, you can check it out on Kickstarter or at slugblaster.com. We're playtesting a beta version of the game. It's not actually out yet, but you can pre-order your copy right now and be all set for when it's released in July of this year. And if you're hungry for more Quantum Kickflip, episode 2 is available right now. We dropped both of our first 2 episodes on the same day, so as soon as you finish this episode, you can carry on right into the next one. And then after that, we're going to be on a bi-weekly rotation, so you can expect episode 3 on Wednesday, April 28th. Now let's get back to the action. The parking lot outside Hillview Secondary is filled with rusty pickup trucks and dinged-up two-door sedans, sensible starter cars for recently acquired learner's permits. Even in the teacher's lot, you'd be hard-pressed to find one of the sleek, modern hover cars you might see on TV, though a few of the nicer sedans have been fitted with conversion kits, replacing their wheels with anti-grav repulsors that allow them to float a few feet off the pavement. The inside of the school looks largely unchanged from when it was last renovated in the 70s, right down to the unfortunate salmon and teal color scheme. The bathroom stalls and undersides of cafeteria tables are covered in ancient graffiti proclaiming the supremacy of various musical artists, and there's likely still asbestos somewhere in the ceiling. That said, a generous private grant recently outfitted the computer lab with a fleet of brand new desktops with internet access and state-of-the-art nega-friction processors, forcing the school to draw up curriculum for a computers class they never intended to offer. The unlucky teacher who got stuck presiding over it is as enthusiastic about it as she is qualified to teach it, which is to say, not at all. As the warning bell rings, another of our characters makes their way through the intimidating halls for the very first time. Lake Marzden.
Mm-hmm.
Let's catch up with you. And now we got a little rundown of what was going on with Lake, but you mentioned that a previous accident with your reality cannon has left you permanently altered. Can you give us a little description of what that looks like?
Yeah, so the right side of her body was affected when the reality cannon glitched out. The right side of her body is affected, not in a perfect vertical division like, say, the Batman villain Two-Face, but very much in that vein. So her left half is a sprightly young lady with curly red hair, overalls with a t-shirt underneath for an energy drink known as Panic. Converse shoes, just a classic teen girl look. But then, of course, her right looks like just a glitched out mess of twisted, fourth dimensional, reality bended, always changing and always moving, slightly to her mood, but mostly just at the whim. It's completely surface level and it is completely benign. But yeah, the entire right side of her body looks like kind of anywhere between that 90s print pattern where it'd be like geometric shapes, like a triangle and a circle on top of like pink, like a zigzag through it, all the way into like data moshing, which is a type of when you like mess with the pixels in a video or a GIF. So
yeah, if you don't know that term, Google data moshing, because I didn't, and I Googled it and immediately was like, oh, I know what that looks like. And it immediately helped me visualize Lake better of what this sort of glitched out effect looks like.
Yeah, you've definitely seen it, you just don't know the name of it. It's called data mosh.
I imagine Lake is pretty self-conscious going into this first day of school. Like, this is probably a pretty intimidating experience. It's first day of high school is intimidating for anyone, but when half of your body is glitched out, that's a big day. Or is Lake trying to hide? Like, are you bundled up with a hoodie and a hood up, trying to like pass and hide, or are you just living your life and letting your glitch?
I think she plans to. I think that's like her big move is she's kind of like trying to keep it low key. Like, she's dressed nice for the first day of school and she's trying to keep it low key.
I think it's that feeling of like you were, psyching yourself up for like, yeah, I'm just going to go and whatever happens. There's nothing I can do. Everyone's got to go to high school. Now you're from this town, so you're a little bit familiar. Like everyone is new to this school, Hillview Secondary. But some of you are new to town. Some of you have skipped a grade. Lake probably has the best bearings of like, you probably got classmates from previous years who go here, and you've got like people you're aware of the general social makeup of the town. And so as you enter the hallway, you see two of the, who you know to be the most popular girls, and not even necessarily popular in like a shitty vain way, but like, they're sort of the center of the social circle, and kind of maybe people that you would aspire to be close to, or at least make a good impression towards, because they could probably make your life pretty difficult if you're not careful. Tamblyn Kennedine and Cheryl Ann Fonson are talking in the hallway with another girl that you don't recognize at the moment. Over their shoulder and a little ways down, you see a poster on a pillar in the hallway with your image on it, full glitch on display, proudly proclaiming slug blasting not even once. And this is a poster made by the organization Doorways, which is an anti-slug blasting parent group that is thinks slug blasting rots your brain and scrambles your brain. Just has bad effects on the growing teenager, and it's not safe, and you shouldn't do it. And you know this intimately because your mom is the head of the local Doorways chapter, and she's the one who talked you into doing this photo shoot and being the poster child for anti-slug blasting. How does Lake feel about that decision and that sort of circumstance you've been put into?
Yeah, her left cheek turns bright red as she blushes with embarrassment, her left cheek bright red, and her right cheek goes like teal. As she sees that poster, and I think very quickly, like a kind of that like scramble of like I think she's gonna try to just like not continue to not draw any attention, though it's a bit moot, and just she's gonna yank that poster down.
The way that the role system is described in here in the rule book is like, there are certain things that you can just do, and in that case, you don't need to roll for them. It's moot to say, like, can you rip a piece of paper off the wall? You absolutely can. Whereas there are other things that you might be able to do, and that's where the dice roll comes into play. So I'm going to say that if you want to just walk up and tear that poster down, that's a thing you can do. However, if you want to play it off as though it not attract the attention of the two most popular girls in school that are standing semi-adjacent, and pull that down without them noticing you do it, that one's going to require a roll.
Yeah, I think keep it interesting because she's going to use the ability under her playbook, look cool. In this case, not try to look more cool than she is, more just try to keep her cool.
Fair enough.
She, play cool, get this down, don't draw any attention to it. So, yeah, I'm going to do something passionate, stylish way, or in this case, a subtle and secretive way. So I'm going to mark a style if it goes well, but the problems are worse if I fail.
So there are two sort of currencies in the game of Slugblaster, which are style and trouble. Style is a good thing, trouble's a bad thing. Over the course of the game, you can attempt to look cool, and doing so will add to your style. You can also take on trouble as a way of negating some of the consequences. And they both have mechanical effects on how the game is played. They are also like a resource that you spend in the later half of the game to unlock certain scenes and abilities. So style is very much a resource you want to be stockpiling, and we're seeing it for the first time presented here. Let's go. Yeah. Roll your dice.
I'm gonna roll a die here. Wow. Starts with a 1.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's our first failure, first blood. So as we had said, rolling a 1 to 3 means you don't succeed at the thing you were trying to do, and there is a problem. So yeah, I think you walk up and try and do that thing where you like pry up a corner and just like pull the whole thing down in one smooth motion, so that it all like, doesn't leave tape residue, or not that you're like concerned about the walls, but just like you want to make this a smooth operation. Mm-hmm. And I think it sort of tears in such a way that like you weren't, the tape catches a little and it tears so that not only does it leave most of the poster intact on the wall, but it also makes a loud rip noise that immediately draws the attention of both Tamlin and Cheryl Ann, who are standing nearby, as well as the third girl, Elliot Buchanan. Tamlin immediately is like, "Oh my god, is that you?"
And like the only part of I don't know what this poster looks like in other people's head, but I think like it's one of those like aggressive uses of like blank space. Just the only part of the poster that has no information is what came off. Like,
yeah,
maybe a fifth of it went, and the 4/5 of space is what it still has all pertinent information and my picture.
Oh, brutal. Yeah, I love that. Tamlin's like, "Oh my god, is that you?" And Cheryl is like, "Oh my god, that is you. That's you on the poster. You're the on the Don't Slugblast poster. That's you. Oh my god, who are you?"
No, I'm not. Hi, my
Do you hate Slugblasting? Slugblasting's so cool. Why do you hate Slugblasting?
I don't hate Slugblasting. It's super cool. My name's Lake. Oh my god.
Tamblin's boyfriend is a Slugblaster, that's really rude of
There's
you.
like
Yeah, my
tape on her
boyfriend is a
hand, like,
Slugblaster.
Can't get tape. She's like shaking her hand, and it's like going between the two hands. When it goes, the tape's on her left hand, and it's tape. The tape's on her right hand, and it like starts refracting light. Like,
yeah, so they both kind of pester you with questions and don't really let you get a word in, and are just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you hate Slugblasting. Tamlin, your boyfriend is a slug." Yeah, I know. I can't believe she would do that. Everyone knows that Jason is a Slugblaster. Oh my god. It's the worst combination of they've completely seen you and paid attention to you, but also were completely ignoring you and talking over you, and really not giving you a chance to like make any kind of good impression.
Too real. High school moments where I'm just like, oh no. I can't. If I say more, it's just gonna make it worse. So I just have to sit in this hole I've dug.
That crushing feeling. Yeah. Anyway, they turn back and continue their conversation with Elliot, and Tamlin's like, "Anyway, so we can use the sound system for the party tonight, right? It's gonna be good. All right, we'll see you. We'll arrange. Jason will come by and pick it up in his truck. It's fine." And they kind of make their way off. And Lake, you're kind of left in the middle of this, probably still getting side-eye from a few kids. Do you tear down the poster now that it's a moot point, or what do you do here?
Now that it's moot, she still tears down the poster just to make sure it's not up and won't happen again.
Before we completely leave the scene, let's jump over to Elliot. You've seen this play out in front of you. How do you feel about this?
I mean, she doesn't feel great. Like, she doesn't like seeing people get embarrassed necessarily. But she also doesn't really want to get involved. I think she just looks over and like, the static cling will go away if you lick it.
It's like a prank. I'm not gonna lick tape. Then they'll call me tape licker. I don't know how these things work around here. Jeez, they're vicious.
All right. I mean, listen, you can have the tape stuck to your hand or you can lick it. That's just what I'm saying.
Puts her hand in her in her overalls pocket, and you hear the tape like get stuck to the seam.
And off Lake goes to skulk in shame, or maybe try and regroup in the bathroom and make a fresh first impression.
It starts also walking like a Naruto run, but her hands are in her pocket, so it's just like forward and stompy.
But we don't follow Lake. We stay with Elliot. And Elliot, you've just been solicited by Tamlin to borrow your speaker system. I think that's one of those situations where you maybe knew her from a previous, because you're also from Hillview, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe this is someone that you are aware of from elementary school or middle school. Probably not someone that you're very close with. Like, I don't think you're the type that runs in Tamblin's crowd necessarily, but I think you're known to her by being classmates, and she knows that you're a hookup for a decent stereo system for a party. So yeah, I think she's sort of done the popular girl thing where she just sort of like assumes that she can use you to her best interest, and I think Elliot's the type to just not really care enough to like, you like a party, you like a good you want a party to have a good stereo system if you're going to be at it, so sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's sort of the arrangement there. And yeah, you're left in the hallway there after giving your sage advice to Lake, and the warning bell has rung at this point, so it's like time to start heading towards class for the first sort of homeroom session of the day. As you notice everyone sort of filing towards their lockers and towards their various classrooms, someone catches your eye, a girl that you instantly recognize from an experience over the summer, and you realize that she's not heading towards her locker or towards class. She's heading down a hallway where there aren't any classrooms, and she kind of like takes a glance to the either side and then sort of bumps the door open behind her and quickly sneaks out the side door of the school, off to who knows where. Now, this is a girl that you, over the course of the summer, I picture Elliot being like, not the preppy type of popular kid, but like well-liked. I think you're just chill enough that everyone sort of gets along with you. You probably got a pretty decent social life and can make your way around parties and stuff. This is a girl that you recognize from a party you've been to. You saw her singing at a party, and you have a gigantic crush on this girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has an incredible voice. Her song was like just the right level of like angsty but soulful, and the vocal performance and just everything about it, like it's that kind of thing where maybe you wouldn't have noticed her just to look at her, but she started singing and that was like, that is the thing. And yeah, you see the same girl that like you didn't get a chance to talk to at the party, you don't know her at all, but you recognize her, and there she goes out the door while everyone else is heading to class. What do you do?
I think I don't change my pace. Well, no, I wasn't walking. I think I begin to walk. I walk slowly, but I totally follow her.
And so you're heading down towards this hallway, and like, at first it's pretty easy to play it off of like, oh yeah, you're just heading down the hallway. Maybe your locker's down this way. But it is absolutely a hallway where like it goes to a side door, and there aren't any classrooms down here. So the further you get down this hallway, the more conspicuous it is of like, where the hell are you going? It gets to a point where as you're nearing the door, you hear a voice behind you be like, hey, just where do you think you're going? And you turn around and see the form of Mr. Patterchuck, the vice principal of the high school. He's got short blonde hair, high hairline, kind of looks like the sort of guy who played football in high school. And that was sort of like the high point for him. Definitely doesn't look like a teacher. His like dress shirts and khakis are just like ill-fitting and look a little too small for him because he's got this big linebacker frame. And despite the fact that he ostensibly has some authority around this school, all of the students invariably refer to him not as Mr. Patterchuck, but as just Chuck. He comes running behind you and says, just where do you think you're off to there, Buchanan? I don't know. He would know your name. It's the first day of school. New student there. You. Hey, you. Where are you going?
I thought I left something out in the courtyard, so I was just gonna go grab it.
Well, the warning bell's rung, Missy. You gotta get your ass to class. Pardon the language. You're in high school now. We swear sometimes. That's how it goes.
Right. But can I just grab my thing and I'll be like 2 minutes?
Well, Gibby, what's so important that you gotta go out into the courtyard when the warning bell's already... The real bell's gonna ring. There's only 2 bells. You get the one warning, and then it's class, Missy. What's so important that you left out there?
It was my, my science textbook.
Now, that is a pickle. You do need that, and those cost a lot of money, and you're just getting... Hey, wait a minute. You get those from the library, but today's the first... You haven't gotten any textbooks from the library yet. You're lying to me.
You are very astute, sir.
That's right, I am. You didn't even have to roll a failure for me to catch that one. I just caught you in your own lie. You get off to class there, Missy. Now... Like, you can already see his attention starting to wander, that he's like, there's another kid who's gliding down the hallway on Heelys, and that's not allowed, and there's someone sticking gum under a table, and he's kind of like, he's aware of all of it, and needs to kind of, like, his attention is split 5 ways, but he's focused on you right now. But you're pretty sure that, like, if you just bolted, you could probably get away from him. But that would have some consequences for you. How does Elliot play this situation? I'm legitimately curious.
I'm legitimately curious too. I think she might just turn around and keep walking.
Towards the door?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I want to use a dice roll to resolve this because I think that's more interesting. Mm-hmm. But it's less of a like, can you outrun the principal or can you evade and stealth your way away? But just like, if you roll high, it goes well for you. If you roll low, he goes after you. Yeah, maybe if you roll high enough, his attention is split too many ways and he can't spare the time to go running down a truant student. But yeah, let's see how this plays out.
Cool. As the chill, I get to roll an extra die all the time.
Hell yeah, you do. That's an amazing ability that you have.
It rules. We'll see if it's broken. Oh, okay, here's the thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled 2 ones.
Oh.
No!
But
Oh no!
but I have an ability called Effortless Cool, where I mark one style anytime I roll doubles.
Oh, incredible.
So
Well, mark your style, yeah.
I think what happens, if I may, is that I get caught, but I look like a cool badass while doing it.
Yeah, you're just blatantly
Yeah.
walking away from a vice principal. That's cool
Absolutely,
as hell.
yeah. You get yeah, you just blow him off and start walking towards the door.
Yeah, it's not gonna work, but it
Takes guts
looks
to
cool
do
as shit.
that.
He immediately sort of I think he yells, and when he can't get your attention, he grabs your voidware backpack that's hanging over one shoulder and physically stops you in your tracks. Not in a I'm not assaulting you, but he grabs the handle of your backpack and it's no, don't you walk away from me. And yeah, just it attracts a little bit of attention, but it looks badass to everyone because you just ignored the vice principal, turned your back, walked away, and he had to drag you back to class. That is cool as hell. So you mark your style. You unfortunately don't see, you see the girl kind of off through the doorway. You just get a glimpse of her kind of rounding the corner, and you'll never know where she was off to skipping class today. That's the failure aspect is you don't leave. You get dragged back to class. I think your problem, because rolling a 1 is a failure and a problem, and rolling 2 ones, oh boy, is as you're being dragged off to class, Mr. Patterchuck, aka Chuck, is mumbling "Oh, well, that's detention for you. Absolutely, you're not getting off with a warning on this one. That's my first detention of the day, and it's going to you, Miss. What is your name?"
I'm Elliot Buchanan.
I'm not gonna buy. That's a fake name, I bet. You're trying to trick me. We'll take you to the office and we'll figure out who you are. And boy, won't his face be even redder than it always is, which is always kind of red. He's just one of those guys that looks like he's always a little bit heat stroked. But boy, won't his face be extra red when he finds out that that is in fact your real name. You're too cool to give a pseudonym. Anyway, we leave that scene there. And we go now to the school assembly for the day. There's an orientation assembly, so we're jumping forward in time a little bit. And we're going to skip the boring parts of the assembly. But we go to the tail end of this orientation assembly where who else but Mr. Patterchuck is addressing the assembled student body and staff. All right, let's hear it one more time for our fantastic guest speaker, Linda from the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, well done, well done. All right, now then, before we wrap up today's orientation assembly, it has been rather aggressively suggested by the local Doorways chapter that I talk to you kids about slugblasting. Now, for those of you who are new to Hillview and maybe aren't hip to the local trends, slugblasting is teen slang that refers to using illegally modified devices such as hoverboards to tear holes in the space-time continuum and sneak into other dimensions. Now let me be absolutely clear. Warping into other planes of reality and running around parallel universes getting into shenanigans is not cool. It isn't safe, and it isn't remotely allowed here at Hillview. Now, you get caught, you're looking at an automatic suspension, maybe expulsion. We take this sort of thing very seriously, as do certain local advocacy groups that unfortunately have access to my personal phone number. So, this is what we gotta do here. Now, look, this is all sci-fi mumbo-jumbo to a guy like me, all right? Hoverboards, ray guns, alternate dimensions. We didn't have any of that stuff back in the 80s. No, they only discovered the multiverse in, 93, and they don't know what the long-term effects are on your brain waves, and just don't do it, all right? Just don't do it, okay? Hugs, not slugs. All right, thank you. You're dismissed. Go about your days. And as the collected student body gets to their feet and goes off to, I think this is an end of the day assembly. I think we've montaged our way right past the school day. And as everyone goes to roll out and head off to their various buses and whatnot, a particular student catches Mr. Patterchuck's eye and he's like, not you there, Franklin. Where do you think you're going? You got detention with me, buddy. And Angus Franklin, you have been addressed here by Mr. Patterchuck, and you certainly do have detention today. Our first meeting of Angus, and he's already in trouble.
Yeah, my detention was assigned to me off camera.
Yes, it absolutely was. Let's get a quick rundown. What did Angus do to warrant detention?
I think it was because after lunch, Angus didn't go to class, and Patterchuck caught him smoking outside the cafeteria doors.
Yeah, absolutely. Smoking is not allowed here at Hillview. We frown on that sort of thing. Maybe back in elementary school you could smoke a pack a day, but not here. Wait.
Yeah, I've really had to cut back since elementary school.
So yes, this is what has landed you in detention. You've been caught smoking, and you find yourself in a little classroom. It's the chem room. No, chem it'd be like a lab with a bunch of burners and stuff. That's too interesting. You're in the history classroom. It's a bummer in there. And yeah, you find yourself in detention there. You've been assigned to write an essay about what you did wrong and how you feel about it and why you won't do it again. It's very like uninspired detention where like they're not even really trying. They're just like, just write what you did and that you're not gonna do it. Should we get a new staff member in here presiding over detention? I feel like I've been doing a lot of Mr. Patterchuck. Now let's keep a good thing going. He's fun to voice.
Not a word of a lie. He sounds exactly like my middle school vice principal.
Whoa.
Oh, I love it.
Like,
he's sort of based on one of my middle school vice principals, but he didn't have this voice. This is all me, baby. So you find yourself, and Elliot is in there with you, because as we saw in an earlier scene, Elliot has been assigned detention. Now, Angus, tell us a little bit about Angus as a character and sort of what you're all about. And specifically, let's hear about these the signature device that you have access to.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really funny that you said today was September 7th, because I pictured Angus as his birthday being on September 6th.
Oh, wild.
So it is the day after his 16th birthday, and so far, 16 sucks. He is wearing faded black skinny jeans that are ripped at the knees, a denim vest that clearly used to be a denim jacket that has a bunch of like pins and patches on it, mostly safety pins and any honorary badge he might have gotten in his 2-month stint as a Boy Scout. Most of his head is shaved except for a stripe running down the middle of his head that is just flopped over to one side and touching his ear. Presumably it would make a really cool mohawk, but no one would know what that looks like, because a mohawk takes a long time to style.
Fair.
Perhaps the one piece of attire on his person that looks sleek and up to date are his running shoes. I sort of picture kind of like basketball shoes, like the ones that are like kind of like chunky.
You got some Reebok vibes.
You got some Reebok vibes with these, absolutely. I think they are white. Maybe the white is a little bit faded, but otherwise these look pretty like well cared for.
Okay.
If not almost brand new. And as Angus is scribbling and writing an essay about, I'm in detention because social studies is boring, and why do we need to learn about things that have already happened? We're all doomed to repeat history anyway. And he's writing this really solid essay about how bad he feels. He's tapping one heel against the floor. And it sort of looks like an absent-minded, restless leg kind of gesture, but what he's actually doing is kind of programming time around him to move a little faster.
Yeah, so these are your signature devices, the skip mode runners, which do allow you to sort of mess with time to varying degrees in amongst other cool little bonuses that they give you mechanically in the game.
Yeah. If I may read the little flavor
please
text.
Do.
Skip boring, skip average, skip to the good part with skip mode runners. The commercial shows a kid fast-forwarding through his homework, which is basically where Angus is right now, but everyone knew it was just a clever marketing for a fairly average modular shoe, until the hacker crowd got a hold of them.
Whoa! Everyone else, remind me when you first use your signature device to let me let you read your blurbs, because we've just done the shoes so far, and I want to hear everyone's. But we'll get to that.
Mine was the shoes. The hole in the bottom is my shoes. That's its special gimmick. It allows water into your feet really quickly, and that's good.
I see.
Yeah.
Sometimes your feet need a drink.
Yeah, just a little drink.
It's true.
Slurp, slurp.
So yes, you have the skip mode runners. I've thought a lot about these because I am a huge time travel nerd, and I love time travel, time skip, time loop mechanics. They're all so much fun, but also it's wild to make it a mechanical thing that you can do in a tabletop role-playing game, because it's just like, there are other people in this game who time also affects. So the way that I've sort of resolved this in my brain, and we've kind of chatted about this a little bit pre-game, is that it's like when you put a I could use the more 90s hallmark of fast forward, but I feel like fast forward implies really quick, and this is like when you put a YouTube video on like 1.5 or double speed, where like when you got a short lunch break and you're like, this John Oliver video is like just over half an hour. If I watch it at 1.5 speed, I can cram it in.
It's kind of like the modern day fast forward too, right? Where like the more you press the button, the faster it goes. So maybe you've only pressed the button like once or twice.
Yeah, and so it's like you can still understand words and you can still see action going by, and like everything's still like coherent. It's just like a little bit faster than normal. And maybe you can overclock these sneakers and go even faster, but the problem is that you're like, these are affecting like the tachyons and the flow of time around you. Your brain is still moving at the same speed that a brain moves. Your current reality to you is like watching a video on double speed on YouTube. So you can probably like fake your way through a pretty rote essay. You've maybe had to write a few of these in your years, so like you've gotten pretty good at writing an essay as your hand moves twice as fast as it should.
His writing is pretty messy, I imagine.
Yeah, I think there's some like complications to this potentially. I think this is going to necessitate a roll. If you want to skip over detention and get past it to the good part of your day, I think you're going to need to roll for that.
Sounds like a plan. Just double checking to make sure. Yeah, I don't think any of my particular bonuses are going to help at this time, so I'm just going to roll a straight d6 and see how it does for me.
Fair enough. The stakes are moderate.
Couldn't be more moderate. I rolled a 4. Mixed success.
So yeah, I think you're able to largely fast forward your way through this boring detention. Yeah, I think as you're going there, like you're having to focus quite a bit to just keep your hand moving because it's going faster than it would, and like you're pretty good at writing these essays, but like again, messy writing, fast hands, you got to try and keep it on track. And at some point, the other girl in detention kind of turns to you and says something, but to you it just sounds like,
Have you heard before?
What do you say back to that?
He'd finish writing his sentence probably because he wouldn't be able to get his hands to stop in time.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be like, slower.
Elliot, what are you actually asking Angus? I've endowed this onto you, but what are you asking Angus in this moment?
Have you been here before?
Huh. Would Angus talk? How would he talk? Oh.
Like, I think it's the same thing where, like, you kind of have to speak a little faster and hope that it times out to what you would want. So I think with your mixed success, like, you catch most of what she just said. You catch, have you before, and you're able to kind of piece together, like, oh, yeah, I think she's asking if I've been to detention before. You can, like, tell me what your brain is trying to say, and we'll see how that plays out for you.
It's the first day of school.
And I think you're able to say that, but, like, again, with your mixed success on this roll, you overcompensate a little, or, like, don't quite compensate enough. And Elliot, what you hear is kind of a slowed down version of, like, it's the first day of school. And you're kind of like, why is this person talking weirdly? And maybe that, like, stymies the conversation, right? Like, you're just like, okay, that was weird. Angus clearly not wanting this conversation to continue because you're trying to keep
writing,
your brain on track. You're continuing on with your writing. Yeah, I think there's a couple of more, like, just awkward interactions like that where someone, Mr. Patterchuck says something and looks at you expectantly, and you have to just kind of shrug it and hope that you have provided something resembling the right answer.
I'm so focused on my essay. Trying to say it earnestly, but it comes across just so sarcastic.
And so, yeah, you're able to sort of skip past this with a little bit of, like, social awkwardness. You're not, in any major degree of trouble here, but, like, what could have been a chance to strike up a new friendship there ended up being a weird, off-putting experience for everyone involved. I think maybe, too, you, like, overshoot it a little bit, where, like, you get to the end of detention, and then by the time you, like, stop tapping your foot, Mr. Patterchuck is standing over you and is like, what are you still? I said go! It's done! Everyone else left! I said to leave!
I stand up, probably a little bit wobbly from things moving at a normal pace, toss the essay loaded with doodles in the margins on his desk, and walk out of the room.
And there you have it. We've met our entire cast of characters. We've got an idea of what everyone's about. But how will Nick and Chester get that component back from those bullies? How is Lake going to prove herself to the cool kids? Will Elliot ever find her crush again? And is Angus just going to fast forward through this entire game? Episode 2 of Quantum Kickflip is available right now wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find out the answers to all of those questions when we rejoin our characters at the big party that night at the gravel pits just outside of Hillview. We'll see you then.